Welcome into our Locked On NBA Insider Report. I'm your host, Kainani Stevens, joined by Antonio Daniels, our Locked On expert, Sirius XM radio host, man of many, many talents. And we have to talk to you on NBA Free Agency Day because there's so much going on. I think possibly the biggest news is something that hasn't happened yet. Kevin Durant saying he wants to leave Brooklyn, and it's coming days after Kyrie opted back in. So I was shocked by it. And then also just the rumors that maybe he wants to still play with Kyrie. So how is this going to turn out?
Kanani, it's a lot to take in. First and foremost, it is a lot to take in. And this is the biggest news of the day by far. This trumps any free agent signing, anything that's going on. But here's the part that's kind of confusing to me. First and foremost, logistically, I don't think it's possible for Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving to play together. You know where the best place for Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving to play together was? In Brooklyn. That was the best place for those two guys to play together. Kyrie Irving opts in, and Kevin Durant 48 hours later says, I want out. So here's the thing that I'm trying to figure out. Because one of two things happened to me. Either there was a conversation that was had between Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving where Kyrie Irving told Kevin Durant, like, listen, I'm probably not going to be here. If you have an opportunity to get out, you should probably get out. I know we came to Brooklyn to play together, but I am not going to be here. Okay. Mm-hmm. Kevin Durant took that information, ingested that information, and then said, okay, you know what, Brooklyn, I want out. That's scenario one. Scenario two, is Kevin Durant tired of Kyrie Irving's off the court things? Mm-hmm. Is Kevin Durant tired of the lack of availability? And the thing is, I don't know. But I tell you what, when a guy asks to be traded, Kanani, and he has a list of teams, that means he had been thinking about this for quite some time. It's not like Kevin Durant woke up on the day of free agency and thought to himself like, man, I want to be traded today. No, this is something that he had been thinking about for quite some time because he already had teams that fits and players that fit the narrative of places that he wants to play with and players that he would like to play with as well. So that means there have been some thought that had gone into this prior to today.
Because there had to have been thought because this is not going to be an easy trade to make, right? Like this is, right. I can't imagine something at this scale, what it's going to take to get it done. So of those two, he's mentioned Phoenix, he's mentioned Miami. Are those viable places that he could end up?
Well, I think they're viable places. I think Phoenix has more to offer than Miami does. Because here's the thing. If I'm trading for Kevin Durant, I'm not trading for pieces. I'm not trading for spare parts. I'm trading for a young star or two that I can build around in the future that I can put next to Ben Simmons and still be relevant. That's what I'm thinking about. Okay? So if I look at Miami, Tyler Hero, that's about all you have. You know what I mean? As far as youth and potential star power is concerned. Obviously, you can put some other pieces in there, but you can't trade for Bam Adebayo. He's not allowed to be in that deal because of the whole situation with Ben Simmons. That can't happen. You can only have one of those two guys on your roster at the same time. Okay? Now, when you go to Phoenix, though, if I'm Brooklyn, I obviously want Devin Booker. But if I'm Kevin Durant, I want to go to Phoenix to play with Devin Booker and with Chris Paul. So you know what that leaves? That leaves DeAndre Ayton and Mikal Bridges. And if I'm Brooklyn, is that a big enough haul for me? Again, we're not talking about packages. We're talking about spare parts. We're talking about a centerpiece, a potential centerpiece in DeAndre Ayton. And a young man that could potentially average 25 and 12 in this league if you build around him. Now you put him alongside Ben Simmons with – you know, a first-team all-defender in Mikal Bridges, and now you add some pieces to that. Now, obviously, it's not the same thing, but we also have to understand Kyrie Irving may still be there. Kyrie Irving may still be there as well. So it's a lot that you kind of have to take into consideration here. I hear the Miami thought. I hear it. I'm just not as on board with Miami as I would be with Phoenix if I'm Brooklyn for what I can receive in return.
If I'm Brooklyn also, I mean, you have to think if we're kind of blowing up this sort of plan we had with Kyrie and KD, like I need a lot of picks, right? Like I would want 5, 6 first round picks coming back to like try to set this up again because obviously this is blown up in their face, but to what degree can they at least get something back for KD, because he is so valuable?
Right. What can you salvage out of losing him?
Right.
You know, what can you get? And that's a great point, Kanani, because Brooklyn doesn't have picks. They don't control their own draft. Phoenix does, though. Phoenix does. So it's not just about DeAndre Ayton and Mikal Bridges. It's about assets that you can get along with those guys, because now you're not in complete total rebuild mode, pending on what you receive in return, but you are going to have to start over. When you lose a James Harden, when you lose a Kevin Durant and potentially a Kyrie Irving, that's not something that's very easy to recover from. But you need a centerpiece or two to build around, to go along with assets to build in the future. Great point.
Is there any other kind of like dark horse? I know he's named those two teams, but is there anyone else he could possibly do a deal with to send KD somewhere else that he would be down for? I mean, does he even have to approve it? I'm not really sure what the protocol is there.
I'm not sure if – the thing is, he still has 4 years left on his deal.
Exactly. So it's like,
you know what I mean? Without an opt-out. Right.
Yeah.
So the thing is, you know, we talk about how unheard of it was for Ben Simmons to do this, to ask to be traded with so many years left on your deal. Now you see Kevin Durant do this, which to me leads to a much bigger story, which leads to the new collective bargaining agreement and what it's going to look like for players moving forward, because what we continue to see these guys do. Okay. Completely different story. From what I've heard, Brooklyn would like a lot in return. From what I heard Brian Windhorst say, this has the potential to be the biggest haul in NBA history as far as what Brooklyn could ask for and potentially get in return. That says a lot, because this league has been around for 75 years with a lot of stars. And stars get traded.
Absolutely. But if we could see something like that, you know, you even look at, you know, Paul George, who's 5 first-round picks, like what you could get for KD in theory, if it's available, is the matter of, or maybe a third team involvement, something like that.
Right.
And then I do want to touch on, because Brian Windhorst also said the Lakers are trying to get KD and Kyrie, which what could that possibly be? I don't even know. Like, you could give everybody, and I don't even know if that's enough.
No, I mean, the only... Financially, the only way that works is if you do a Kevin Durant, Kyrie for Anthony Davis and Russell Westbrook. That's the only way financially that it works, right?
Think they do it?
If I am Sean Marks in the Brooklyn Nets, do I really see the Brooklyn Nets parading Russell Westbrook and Ben Simmons out as your starting backcourt on opening night? Again, for me, it has nothing to do with the names. Anytime we talk about free agency, anytime we talk about trades, whatever it may be, I am not about the name. I'm all about the fit. Okay? Do their skill sets complement each other? So I'll ask you, Kenani, do you feel like Russell Westbrook and Ben Simmons, what they both bring to the table, that their skill sets will allow each other to be the best version of themselves?
Well, we are saying that Ben is going to play, which is a big if sometimes.
Right.
I selfishly would like to see it, just to see how that would work.
Because you want the drama. You want to see it because you want the drama.
Honestly, it would be so entertaining from that aspect.
It would be. Those two don't align.
Yes.
They don't align. You have two guys that are really good in transition, two guys that like to put their head down to get to the rim, and two guys that are known throughout this league as non-shooters. The only way potentially that you can get Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving in LA, is if you're willing to part ways with Anthony Davis and Russell Westbrook. But what that means is Brooklyn also has to take on Anthony Davis and Russell Westbrook.
Right. Well, we'll have to see what ends up actually happening, because I am very excited to see how this actually shakes out, because it's going to be fascinating for sure.
Yes,
Antonio, we will definitely check back with you when we figure out what this is all going to turn into. But for now, I'm Kainani Stevens. This has been a Locked On NBA.